really wanted to thank Erin for being willing to contribute to Trades of Hope as a whole. It really just fosters that feeling of we are one team, we all have one mission and one goal. And I just really want to say that in my mind, the key to Erin's success, because I feel like everybody's looking for the silver bullet, right? We all want to know, what do we need to do to be successful? What do we need to do to lead your teams? What do we need to do to sponsor? Erin works consistently every week on her business, except maybe that week in July, you take off to the beach, right?
But work a little, just a little.
Just a little.
I took really great pictures of myself in the Rangina totes, or kimono. So.
Yeah.
Or what is it called? Not Rangina. Not the, well, both. You know what I mean. The kimono.
But I think that is, you know, if you want to pin down one thing, it's Erin's work ethic and her dedication to do the work when she doesn't feel like it, obviously, because a lot of times we do not feel like it. We'd rather lay around and watch Downton Abbey, right, than make those phone calls. And so I just really commend her for that. And I think that it would be really easy for a lot of CEs to think, well, Erin's so outgoing, or she's so great on stage, or she's a great speaker, or her hair is awesome, or her whatever, right? Those are true things, but she wouldn't be successful in Trades of Hope if she wasn't putting in the work, no matter how great her hair was, right? So I think the thing is, you know, I was reading through some surveys that we put out recently, and I know that's a human nature thing to want to find that silver bullet, but it's putting in the time and the effort and the energy and keeping going even when it doesn't go so hot and so swimmingly. So Erin, I really, really admire you for that. You've done a great job. You've built a great team. And, you know, I hope that all of it is blessing you as much as you are blessing everybody else, and especially the artisans, because your ripple effect and your desire and willingness to ask has created just a huge movement. And I know there are a lot of women all around the world that are very grateful for you. So.
Well, gosh, thanks. I'm just gonna say thanks and see you next week. No, I'm good now. No, that's awesome. Thank you, Gretchen. I love you very much, and I'm so thankful that you asked for me to do this. This is a little like Monday wake up call takeover. So for those of you that have been faithfully enjoying the Monday wake up calls, sorry, we're gonna do this for the next 8 weeks, but hopefully it is awesome and fun and something a little different, but also talking about, you know, the most important thing that we can do in our business. So this is our very first Ask class, and I'm going to try not to do too many ask like jokes, so we don't, and nobody gets offended, and we all just stay focused on why we're here. It's about asking people to join us in this business. Has nothing to do with your butt. But it's improving your ask so that we can grow this mission and change more lives, which is why all of us are here. Like Gretchen said, my name's Erin Woods, and I am turning 40 tomorrow. Woo! Yay! Tomorrow's my birthday. And I'm super excited to turn 40. I love where I am in my life. My kids are awesome. My husband adores me, and I still really like him. I love my home. I love my job with Trades of Hope, and which, like Gretchen said, I've been doing for 5 years on March 11th. So this is like my year of big milestones. And Trades of Hope has really been a huge part of this past decade of my life, and I know it's going to be a huge part of my 40s and my life going forward, which is just awesome. So a couple of housekeeping things before we get jumping into the topics for today. First of all, over the course of the next 8 weeks, I think it would be awesome if everybody had an accountability partner. So look around, there's lots of faces in the crowd today. Do a little Facebook stalking, partner up with somebody that you already know is doing this class, or make a new friend. But it's really gonna be important as we go through the 8 weeks that you have a partner, somebody to remind you, hey, it's Monday morning, you know, you hopping on at 11, or if you miss the call, somebody to send you the recording in the afternoon. There's going to be some homework pretty much every week. And it would be nice to kind of already know who you're going to be doing your homework with or practicing different things with or bouncing ideas off of. So find an accountability partner if you haven't already. And plus, it's just nice to have another cheerleader, like fan in your life, like to remind you and tell you how awesome you're doing. So who doesn't need more of those? My commitment to you for this 8 weeks will be timeliness. Present day excluded, but this was the first one. So I'm sure we'll start like right on time and make sure that it's, 30 minutes and time is all of our most precious resources. And I want to honor that. So I will be timely, keep my calls and my trainings to 20 to 25 minutes so that we're done by 11:30. But that being said, if you get behind a week or two and you're like, oh, I've missed some, don't quit on me. There's not going to be anything that it's not like geometry where if you fail the first quarter, then you really can't keep up in the second quarter. Like you can jump back in at any time. You can catch up. So just try to stick with me. If you're here today, that's awesome. And if you miss the next 3 weeks, come back. We're going to be here for 8 whole weeks. So, give yourself tons of grace. There is no grade for this, unlike geometry. So it's just about showing up. And so to that point, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here for the first day. Somebody smarter than me said, your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development. So we are in direct sales in life. We're kind of in the personal development business, so always wanting to learn more, do more, change what you're doing if it's not working. I mean, that's just kind of the way people live and grow. And so just by showing up, you are pouring into yourself and ultimately pouring into your business, which is going to pour into the lives of the artisans around the world. So thank you for doing that. Okay. I wanted to start with probably the most important question. And since this is an asking class, I'm sure this question is probably on your mind too. And that's why? Why ask? Why build a team if I wasn't wasn't planning on doing that when I signed up as a compassionate entrepreneur? Why does it matter if I ask people to join when I know that other people are going to be doing that? Other people that want to have a team, they'll do the asking. Why would I ask when recently we've discovered that many of us joined without being asked, myself included? Won't compassionate women just find us and join us? So why do we need to ask? So I wanted to start here because we always want to start with the why. And some of my dearest friends and experts on this very why are on the call today. And these are women who are walking with Trades of Hope in a path of leadership who I know are committed to the reason why we need to ask. Why this class is very important and why even the top leaders in this company can do better and can do more. So I've asked them to share very briefly, and I'm going to call on them to share why ask. So Shelby Black Couch, why should we ask?
Since our Empower 2018 visit to Thistle Farms, Jennifer has woven her way into my head and my heart. And I was moved by the way she stood tall and held her head high while she was giving us a tour, because no longer is Jennifer a victim. Today she's a survivor. No longer is she financially struggling. Today she experiences job sustainability. No longer is she desperate. Today she's empowered. Because of our dignified relationships with Thistle Farms, Jennifer has hope, and she's why I ask.
Awesome. Jamie Driggers, why should we ask?
We should ask because right now today, there is a woman, probably many women, who are trying to decide between relinquishing their child to somebody else to be cared for or letting their child starve. And right now today, there is a child who is suffering from attachment disorder because her mother had to make a different choice than we would want to make. And if we can provide job sustainability for these women, they can keep their babies.
Jess Argetsinger, why should we ask?
We need to ask because of those mamas in Haiti. I know many of you are familiar with those stories and those women, but when I was able to meet Jacqueline, she was a single mama to an 8-year-old son and a 6-year-old son, and she was able to have her children in school that day, which was just unheard of for a single mama to do that. But like Jamie said, there are these women and these men that have children that love their babies, and we need to fight and work for them.
Awesome. Dawn Hansen, why should we ask?
We should ask because of Ilma, Susie, Rosa, Brenda, and the 100 other girls and young women at Casa Hogar and Jalapa, Guatemala, who through our partnership now are dreaming of becoming doctors, lawyers, teachers, business administrators, all in a country where the average girl has a 3rd grade education. We should ask because they are our partners and we are working with them and together.
Awesome. Shelly Massey, where you at, girl? Why should we ask?
Shelly's having technical difficulties. She's not able to join.
Okay, Gretchen Heichkins, why should we ask?
We just received an email yesterday from our artisan group in the Philippines. And I somehow totally missed that even happened, but there was a huge volcano that erupted and it destroyed many of their houses actually of our artisans. And there was a particular ornament, a Christmas ornament, that we were debating whether to put in the next catalog for 2018 or not. And so we actually decided against it. We didn't need it in the catalog. We already had enough ornaments and things like that. And quite honestly, we didn't grow as much last year as we thought because not enough of us, including us, didn't ask. And so, but we made this decision totally out of heart and totally out of faith. And we emailed the artisans last week and told them that, you know what, we're going to add those Christmas ornaments in. And they wrote back, and we got this email yesterday that they are so overjoyed. They're so thankful. It will make a huge difference in their lives. They were going around and singing and just beyond, thrilled it seems trite to say that they were thrilled. This is life-changing for them. And that's because of all of you. And the more people that we ask, the more people's lives that we can touch in just the way that we did those women in the Philippines.
Thank you. Yes. Everything that you just said, and we could have an entire 8 weeks of these moments of conversations of people and women and mothers and fathers and children. That's why we ask. And I just wanted to give you a snapshot of that why, and know that Liz could talk about Jordan and Chelsea could talk about Thailand, and we could talk for days about this. But at the end of the day, it is so much bigger than us, and it's about real people around the world and about making the world a better place. So if you're struggling with why asking is important, then rewatch the beginning of this video over and over again and stick with me for 8 weeks and have that belief shaken up a little bit, have your courage built up and your toolbox equipped. Those are my goals for us for the next 8 weeks. So I want to start with a little disclaimer and what I'm calling an expectation exploder. So here's the disclaimer. You could show up, which I hope you do, for every single class for the next 8 weeks. You could do all the homework that I assign you. You could participate. You could do everything that I suggest. You could do the collaboration, get together with your accountability partner, incorporate all the ideas that you hear, and do it all. And you could end up at the end of 8 weeks exactly where you are right now in this moment. Now, I seriously doubt that that's going to happen, because even if nothing actually changes in terms of the number of women who join your team, which is actually something you don't have any control over, I can guarantee you that you're going to increase, and some of you have already started it with the challenge, the number of women that you ask to join you by the end of this 8 weeks. And so if you're sitting at a place where you've never asked anybody, then I can guarantee at least you're gonna double. And I feel like that's a pretty good number. So that's my promise. But aside from that, nothing else might change, but that's okay. Here's the expectation exploder. Joining, or having women join your team, or sponsoring, dare I say, is a really hard thing to articulate for somebody that does it. A lot of people have tried to do trainings on this topic, and it's hard. It's challenging. There is no magic. There is no magic formula. It's not a black and white thing. There's a lot of gray area. So even again, as I was sitting down to train on this topic again, I was sitting in that place of gray space. And I was like, okay, this is like a mist. It's almost like a super dense fog. And some of you might feel this right now. Like we're in your business and it's like you can't see. And that's, I'll tell you right now, after 5 years of doing it, it's kind of always like that. You're always sitting in this dense fog. You don't know what's coming towards you, what your path actually looks like. It's not very clear, and you don't have a lot of control over much that happens to you in this business. But the thing that you have control over is how you sit in that foggy space in your business and interact with the people that eventually do come out of the fog towards you. And they come to light for you as women who will want to host parties or join your team. I tell new compassionate entrepreneurs all the time that, especially at the very beginning, if you can trust that there are hundreds and hundreds of women out there that you have never met who want to host parties with you, who want to shop with you, who want to ultimately join your team, then you can do this business. But you have to believe that they are out there, even though you can't see them. I didn't start my business 5 years ago with a list of 350 hostesses and 1,000 party guests and 100 women who I knew were going to join my team. I started with one woman who was willing to host a party with me. Everybody starts in that same place, in that same dense fog. And so you have to choose how you sit there. Are you going to rise or are you going to sink? Are you going to float in the fog or are you going to flounder in it? Are you going to feel anxiety because you don't have a clear path of what's ahead? Or are you going to live in a space of joyful anticipation about the unknown? You have to decide how you want to sit in that space because the fog will not clear. How are you currently sitting there? Are you breathing or are you choking? I'm going to ask you in these next 8 weeks to evaluate how you feel in this fog and to maybe try breathing with me a little bit, relaxing a little bit, freeing your mind of expectations, of what's supposed to happen, of what your business is supposed to look like, and let go of those preconceived notions that you might have about sponsoring. And we're going to break down that a little in just a second. And just enjoy the joyful anticipation of a shift that will occur over these next 8 weeks. Your ask will increase. Your team may not grow, but you will be more equipped to continue on this path of team building with confidence and courage. Okay? So let's talk about words for a minute. So this is the Ask class because I want to change our minds by changing our words and the words that we use to describe certain activities of our business. So I believe words have great power. You know, I'm an English teacher, former high school English teacher. I have a particular proclivity towards Shakespeare because of his words, and he actually invented thousands and thousands of words, and I love that. How many of you like make up words all the time? You're like, oh, yeah, it's a word. I always used to say to my students, well, Shakespeare made up words all the time, so that works, make up a word. But I feel like we have to also be combative towards words becoming too heavy and actually keeping us from doing what we want to do. And one of the words that I feel like lately has had a lot of weight and heaviness to it is sponsorship. And I'm not the only one who thought about this. Gretchen, I think, had a dream about it, and Tracy Warren and I had a conversation about it. So it's popped up in a couple different areas. So I want, for a second, if you haven't found the chat, find the chat, and I want you to just write down or type in any association that you have, not necessarily related to Trades of Hope, but when you hear the word sponsorship, what pops into your mind? And just write down, there's no wrong answer, responsibility, fear, another responsibility, commitment, power, relationships, pushy, leadership, high pressure, bugging, awesome, growth, pushy, wishing, help, compassion, mentor, opportunity, pressure, awesome. You guys wrote some of the things, yeah, desperate, work, inviting, fear, okay, daunting, recruiting, okay, yes, all of these words. Some of the ones I wrote control, ownership. I wrote mentor. Somebody else said that. I wrote confirmation because I'm Catholic, and when you have a sponsor when you get confirmed. So that was actually a positive one. But then I also thought like sponsorship sounds like work. It sounds like business. I also think about charity. Like there's sponsors for like a charity event. It also reminded me of AA. You know, don't you have a sponsor when you're in AA? But it also reminded me of support, guilt, failure. So not all bad things. Most of the things that were said in the chat and the things that I associated with this word did have a heaviness to them, right? A lot of serious associations. Now, I'm not saying that the work that we do with Trades of Hope does not have a very serious side. There's some really important things that we need to have on our hearts and in our souls as our why and our driver. But bringing women into this company doesn't have to be so heavy and so serious. Being a compassionate entrepreneur shouldn't ever feel heavy or burdensome. So the process of doing that should not feel heavy or burdensome. So talk to me about the word ask then. What does that bring to mind? What are associations that you have when I say the word ask? Go ahead and put those in the chat too. Scary, curious, include, afraid, objections, a request, hopeful, relationship, invite, risk, rejection, opportunity, unassuming, invite, low pressure. Okay, things that I wrote, I said simple, clear. I think about, I mean, a lot of us are moms. Like, how many times a day do we get asked for like a milk or a drink or a snack? Or, I mean, I get asked like 45,000 times for something. Sometimes I just say to my kids, will you just stop asking me for things? Like, I just need, like, don't ask. I know what you're gonna ask. I anticipate them. I also think of a marriage proposal. You know, did he ask? My sister is currently in Hawaii right now. So everybody just say a really quick prayer of like massive power and energy towards her boyfriend that he asks her to marry him in the next 2 weeks. I mean, he's in Hawaii. Come on. You're gonna be on a volcano with the sun rising. Like, let's do this. So a marriage proposal. Asking for what you want or need. I think of advocating. I think ask is very straightforward. So a lot of great, a little bit lighter of a feeling. So when you, somebody was raised to believe that asking for something was wrong. Oh, well, you're in the right place, Sally. We're going to help you change that feeling. I believe, and my kind of take on this is that when you ask for something, there's not as much of an emotional investment in it. You know, you think about sponsoring somebody and it's like, you've got this sense of responsibility. And unless it's a marriage proposal, there's not as much emotional investment. It's more of a simple invitation to come to a party, an offer to try something, to learn something, to be blessed. So this sort of analogy has popped in my head, probably because my birthday is tomorrow. So I want you to imagine like you're sitting next to somebody and you have this cake in front of you, this big, beautiful, luscious, creamy, smells amazing cake sitting right in front of you. The person next to you is clearly eyeing your cake. But she is too shy or hesitant or embarrassed or introverted to ask for a piece. But she would love a piece of what you have. Don't you think the nice thing to do would be to ask her if she'd like a piece of cake? Now, what if you continued sitting there and you are enjoying the heck out of your cake? I mean, you are just devouring this amazing cake that never seems to end. It just, like, every time you take a bite, it like fills in and comes back, and it's still the complete beautiful cake. So you never break the icing. And you're eating your cake, and you're inspired and you're empowered by your cake. I mean, this luscious dessert, and you're just like exclaiming your joy all over the place. And it's so authentic and so genuine. And now other people have gathered around. It's no longer just this one person that was sitting next to you. You've now gathered a crowd because you are full of enthusiasm and passion and just eating this cake, and everybody's watching you and they're kind of envious, and because you just seem so happy with this big, beautiful, world-changing cake in front of you. And you never ask any of them if they want a bite or they want a piece. Now, that's not the kind of person we want to be. We want to offer our cake to the people that are watching. My business is like this big, beautiful cake for me. I love it. I eat it every day. It's my favorite food. It's super sweet, and I never gain weight from it. It's like the healthiest, most perfect cake ever. It's good for my soul. And even as I was sitting and like typing out this analogy, I was thinking, oh my gosh, there are so many people watching me eat my cake, and I haven't offered it to enough of them. I haven't asked enough. So I know if I'm feeling this way, you might be feeling this way too. So it's just as simple as offering somebody a slice of cake. Asking doesn't have to be any more complicated or heavy than that. So something that, and what you're doing when you're offering is giving them the chance to say yes or no. Otherwise, you're assuming they're on a diet, which is just really mean, right? You don't do that to people. So what does an ask look like? This is the last thing for today, and then I'm gonna give you your homework, and then off we go. So an ask can take a lot of forms, and we're gonna get into this over the next 8 weeks, obviously, but this is just a place to start because I want you to practice this week with with your accountability partner. Again, no perfect ask, no black and white, because it's all different scenarios and different people, but something really simple that you can send somebody in a message. You are one of the kindest people I know, and I think you would really connect with what we're doing with Trades of Hope. Can I send you a video? Example 1. Example 2, it was amazing to meet you last night and I loved hearing your story. You would make a great compassionate entrepreneur. Can I invite you to an online event to learn more? Example number 3, you have a beautiful network of friends and you've been such an awesome hostess for me. Would you consider turning your rewards into a coupon to become a compassionate entrepreneur for free? Now these are canned. Even as I'm reading them, I'm thinking this is not exactly what I would say. I would have a little bit more of my personality and I would be a little more relaxed with it. And that is why I love Facebook Messenger voice messaging. And if this is not a tool that you have started using in your business, this is going to be your homework this week, is to practice using it. It's a 1-minute message. It will cut you off after a minute, so you cannot drone on. Do not send 6 in a row. Just send 1. And it's you, it's your voice, it's your authentic self, it's your words, and you got to practice doing it because it feels really awkward at first. And you might actually say punctuation out loud. So that's, yeah, I do that all the time. My kids are going to grow up thinking you have to say your punctuation as you talk. So I'm not going to do a tutorial on them because we're out of time and I wasn't planning to anyway. But this is where your accountability partner comes in. I want you to practice sending each other ask messages. Think of a scenario like somebody you met at a party last night, somebody, whatever the scenario is, and practice sending some messages. Start getting the words into your mouth, out of your mouth into the Facebook Messenger thing, and then give each other some feedback. You're sending it to somebody, it's a safe place, they're not gonna laugh. If you screw up or you say punctuation out loud, totally fine. And even if you did that with a real person, I did it with a potential CE the other day, and she was like, oh my gosh, I do that all the time. Like, it was funny, it's real. But practice using that tool because it's an amazing way and it's very effective in conveying your heart and sincerity. So that's your homework for this week. Practice sending ask messages via Facebook Messenger and then give each other some feedback. And then you get bonus points if you send at least 2 real ones to real potential compassionate entrepreneurs. Okay, that is my week 1 talk for today. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of encouragement, some ideas, and sorry if some fuzz is blowing in my face. And hope you can find I will post or give Megan those little scenarios that I shared, and then you guys can start playing around with them this week. Again, thank you for being here. I'm super excited for this next 8 weeks, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun and learn a lot and work our ask together. Okay, I won't do that anymore, I promise.
All right, thank you so much, Erin. That was awesome. And thanks for everybody who came on and cared enough to listen and learn and grow yourselves. And we really appreciate that as well. So this is a great sisterhood and we're all better together. So
if you guys don't mind, I'm going to close us out in prayer. God, I just thank you so much for each and every woman that is represented here today, Lord, that they've made the commitment, Father, to jump on here, God, and to just get more resources and more tools, Lord, to expand what they're doing all over the world, God. And we just ask that you be with our artisans, Father, in each and every country and every situation that they're in, Lord, and God, that they would be prepared for the amount of business that they're about to get in 2018, Lord, from just these women committing to this business, Lord, and just flourishing, Father, in their commitment, Lord, and learning how to ask and just gaining these tools, Lord. We thank you for our leadership in Trades of Hope, God, and we just pray blessings on each and every one of our weeks. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks so much,
Thanks,
ladies.
guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.